रोज बांग्लादेश से बहुत ही बुरी खबर आती है। ऐसी परिस्थिति में हमने देखा कि चिन्मय कृष्ण दास एक पूरे माइनॉरिटीज मूवमेंट का वो फेस बन गए थे।
Bangladesh now wants to ban ISKCON. It is silently creating ground to persecute members of one of the biggest Bhakti movements of modern times. A Writ petition has been filed in Bangladesh High Court seeking a ban on ISKCON. During the petition hearing, Bangladesh government described ISKCON as a fundamentalist organization. On Wednesday, a lawyer filed a petition seeking a ban on the organization. The High Court directed the Attorney General to provide report on government's position on ISKCON and its recent activities by Thursday morning. During the hearing, AG Mohammad Asaduzzaman stated that ISKCON is not a political party but a religious fundamentalist organization and that the government is scrutinizing its activities. The AG also claimed that efforts were underway to ban ISKCON, suggesting that certain elements were attempting to destabilize the country. Notably, a couple of weeks ago, the AG had also suggested removal of the word secular from Bangladesh constitution, citing 90% Muslim population in the country. Meanwhile, ISKCON Kolkata has apprised the centre about continuing attacks on their fellow members. They have also urged the United Nations to take note of the situation. The Rights and Risk Analysis Group has also filed a complaint to the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention regarding the arrest of Chinmay Krishna Das. The group said that the complaint is fabricated. All these developments and the crackdown on Hindu protesters point to signs of Bangladesh turning into an Islamist theocracy. First, let me play out the reactions we have got, and then I'll straight away go to Ambassador Bhakti Mukherjee.
ये बहुत गलत हुआ है क्योंकि वो तो जो काम करते हैं वह हिंदू मुस्लिम दोनों के साथ लेकर चलने वाले हैं और उनको देशद्रोही कैसे कह दिया। देशद्रोही करना गलत है और उसको जेल में भेजना भी गलत है। जितना भी काम बांग्लादेश ने हिंदुओं के ऊपर अन्याय किया कर रहा है वो इसी से पता चलता है कि इसी सामान्य हिंदुओं का क्या दशा होगी।
हमारी डिमांड है कि चिन्मय प्रभु को जल्द से जल्द रिहा किया जाए, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से वो शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से अपना विरोध जता रहे थे, क्योंकि हिंदुओं के ऊपर जब से पॉलिटिकल टर्नओवर हुआ है, परिवर्तन हुआ है, सत्ता पलट हुआ है, उसके बाद से हिंदू मंदिर तोड़े जा रहे हैं, हिंदुओं के ऊपर अत्याचार हो रहे हैं। तो इसके खिलाफ आवाज उठाना कोई राष्ट्रद्रोह नहीं हो सकता। आपके अधिकारों को हनन किया जा रहा है और उसके खिलाफ अगर कोई आवाज उठाता है तो उसको अगर आप राष्ट्रद्रोह बोलेंगे तो मुझे लगता है राष्ट्रद्रोह शब्द का अपप्रयोग है। और जिस तरीके से चिन्मय प्रभु को अरेस्ट किया गया, उन्हें जल्द से जल्द रिहा कर देना चाहिए।
I'm joined by Ambassador Bhakti Mukherjee, Suhas Chakma, Director Rights and Risk Analysis Group. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. Ambassador, first to you. To say that ISKCON is a religious fundamentalist organization is outrageous. Then to go for a ban is another thing. And then to say it's destabilizing Bangladesh is just taking it to another level. In your assessment, madam, why is ISKCON being targeted like this?
First of all, I would like to inform your viewers through your channel that it would appear to me that these Bangladeshis who are saying this have very short memories. They have forgotten the genocide committed on Bengali Muslims by the Pakistani army and the liberation of Bangladesh and the role played by India. They have forgotten why the word secular was put in their constitution by Mujib, the founder of the language movement, because he said that Bengali language and culture is more important than religion, and that the creation of Bangladesh depends upon all Bengalis who speak and have the same culture getting together regardless of their religion. I would also like to remind those Bangladeshis who are now calling Chinmay Prabhu a Deshdrohi, a traitor, that it is the same ISKCON who reached out to all Bangladeshis when they were going through floods, cooked and fed them, has always been there for Bangladesh during hard times and easy times. They have never made any distinction In fact, ISKCON is known world over for the manner in which they reach out to poor people, people in need, etc., etc. That Chinmoy Prabhu in this manner could have been stopped first from taking his flight to Chittagong and then to be arbitrarily denied bail. And now for this move to ban ISKCON is going to be challenged not just within Bangladesh but internationally. It's because ISKCON has strong presence globally, including in the United States. ISKCON has strong presence in so many countries. ISKCON's activities are well known. To call it a fundamentalist organization is the most ridiculous allegation that I have ever heard in my life. I know ISKCON activities very well, and we have often discussed ISKCON, including in India Habitat Center where I am the president. We've had people from ISKCON explaining to us what all they do globally, and everyone is proud of ISKCON. So if they have any common sense at all, this so-called Nobel laureate who is the interim leader and whose position is soon going to be completely illegal because there is no provision in the Bangladeshi constitution for him to continue forever, he should release Chinmoy Prabhu immediately, and he should not go ahead with what he is trying to do, because it will plunge the whole of Bangladesh into a kind of civil war. Because let's not forget, there are 1.5 crore Hindus in Bangladesh. They are not going to take it lying down.
Okay.
There are also Buddhists, there are also Christians, there are many minorities. They cannot do this to ISKCON. It is not possible. It is not acceptable.
Okay, Mr. Chakma, the same question to you. Why are they targeting ISKCON at this juncture? I mean, this is someone who does a congregation. You are blaming him for organizing Hindus. But Hindus are getting organized to say that they are being targeted by the unruly mobs. I mean to say, if someone is expressing angst, insecurity, and a sense of threat in terms of the day-to-day routine, you're not only denying, but you are also ensuring that by persecuting this gentleman, no other person dares to do that. You're publicly silencing an ethnic community, Hindus and the Chakmas. It's silencing them in public, making them invisible. Suhas.
See, if you look at the history of Bangladesh, after the partition of India and after the 1965 Indo-Pak War, when the Enemy Properties Act at that point of time was brought in, millions of Hindus had fled. And the same is true for all minorities in Bangladesh. For the first time after the fall of Sheikh Hasina government, the minorities are organizing themselves to say that this is our land and we have every right to express our grievances. So therefore, it's a new phenomenon for the people who are used to living as second-class citizens, that now they are claiming rights, or they are even claiming, or daring to claim Bangladesh as their homeland. And that policy of, persecuting the Hindu minorities to drive them from Bangladesh is not a new phenomenon. So if you look at the recent practices, on 18th September, you had the biggest rally in the history of Chittagong tracks, where 40,000 tribals had gathered for identity, march for identity at Khagrachar. The next day, you had riots, hundreds of houses had been burned down, 4 indigenous persons were killed, and now you have this this congregation on 25th August, where a large number of Hindus came at Laldigi Maidan at Chittagong. And now this is a private complaint which is filed by a former BNP Ward General Secretary, someone called Muhammad Firoz Khan. So if you look at the petition, which I read it, and the main, element for filing the complaint with the UN, the first page contains only the introduction about the accused. Second page contains about exactly 2 sentences in Bengali, which says that the flags of Bangladesh, which are put by the, this anti-discrimination study unit, the flags of ISKCON, we are put on top of that. So therefore, it's an insult to the territorial integrity of Bangladesh, provoking other communities and etc. And Chinmay Das ji and others, they are not the main accused. They are basically accused of being conspirators. Now the complainant has not provided a single evidence that actually the ISKCON flags were put above the flags which are put by the Students' Union. Secondly, that those who have put up these flags, we are actually members of the ISKCON. So the entire case is actually, fictitious, and you are targeting the conspirators without naming even who are the main accused who have put these flags. If you put many flags together in a particular pole, when the wind comes, obviously they move around. Does that become sedition? And for the last 21 days, from 20 when the FIR was filed, the complaint was filed on the 31st October till the arrest on 25th of November, 2 days back, he was not summoned once by the police that you cooperate with the investigation. So you just directly arrest him from the flight. Then what happens? Then you take him all the way to Chittagong, then produce him. And this is the entire, case. If the judge had any sense, he should have given bail immediately. So forget about the international law. Read the page, the complaint put up by this BNP leader. How could a private complaint become so serious when the complainant had not even mentioned these people as the main perpetrators of the alleged offense? These are co-conspirators. So conspirators will only come once you arrest the perpetrators or the offenders. Those offenders they are never identified. So this is a sham. This is a charade. This is the government of Bangladesh.
Okay, Ambassador, what sort of a challenge does it pose for the Indian government? Even yesterday, a Kalibari was attacked. I mean, these are a couple of the visuals. I'm not getting into these minor details because these things are happening on every given day. Every day, either from Twitter, social media, we will have one photograph of a temple being desecrated, attacked, people being hit. In Bangladesh, by targeting Hindu minorities, what sort of a politics is Muhammad Yunus trying to spawn? I mean to say, he got a Nobel Peace Prize.
He was very different in those days when he got the Nobel Peace Prize. But let me come back to the question that you're asking me, because it's a very important question. In fact, such disturbing videos are sent to me on a regular basis. I never put them on social media because the danger is, if we Indians, we are very tolerant and patient people, but there are limits to one's patience. And if one sees, you can call it a minority, but in reality, it's 1.5 crore Hindus in Bangladesh. That's a very large number of people. They may be a minority, but it's a very large minority. You cannot exterminate all of them. You cannot throw all of them across the border. You have to learn to live with them. And it's a secular constitution. They have contributed to Bangladesh's prosperity. And if Bangladesh slides into civil war, everybody will be affected, minority or majority. That is something which Mr. Yunus should know, since he's an economist. So the point here is that, is he willing to tip the balance? Because at a particular point of time, if this kind of photographs and reports keep coming, as it is, Bengalis in West Bengal, which is my home state, they are very upset. But Hindus and Muslims and Indians all over are upset. And their ISKCON is followed regardless of religion. There are so many followers of ISKCON who are not Hindus. So it's an actually, the targeted attack on ISKCON is like it's like an international icon. So if they continue in this manner, definitely there will be repercussions. But we need to manage this crisis very coolly and very calmly, because there is so much at stake for us. It's not just West Bengal, it's the Northeast, it is the border with Myanmar, it is the chicken's neck. There are so many implications for us. We have to manage this. We have to put pressure on Mr. Yunus to make him step back. We have to get other major players to put pressure on him to make him step back. so that as far as Chinmoy Prabhu is concerned, he is released on bail as soon as possible. And as my co-panelist has correctly pointed out, the charges against him are ridiculous and frivolous. It cannot stand up in any court of law. And the judge was very wrong in denying him bail because it is a bailable offence. He should have got bail. But I don't see him being holed up in prison for long. There is too much pressure. And the pressure will build up internationally. Where will Bangladesh go? Its economy, its exports. Where will it go when its economy starts sinking?
Yes.
What about the huge power bills that they owe us? Suppose we decide for 3 days to do nothing except switch off Bangladesh's electric grid. Where will they go? We don't have to send the armed forces. We just switch off their electricity. And you'll see how quickly they'll release Chinmoy Prabhu. We have many cards up our sleeves. We don't have to discuss them on television. But I'm sure that Mr. Mohammed Yunus is fully
But
aware.
Ambassador, we can say the truth. We can say the truth that Mr. Yunus Suhas is an Islamist, you know. He is an Islamist and he has failed to protect Hindus and minorities there. And it started with that lone instance, Suhas, when the Chakma village was attacked.
Yes.
You recall that 2 months ago.
I also remember. Yeah.
I always said one thing about Yunus, in fact, when I organized a briefing for the diplomats in Delhi, that people do not know about the worldviews of Dr. Yunus. What people know is that he got the Nobel Prize for peace, and people think somebody who got the Nobel Prize for peace is someone who believes in the rule of law, democracy, liberal, etc. And the entire Western world got fixated into it, just the way they had gotten fixated with Aung San Suu Kyi. It took a massive genocide of the Rohingyas for the West to realize that, Aung San Suu Kyi is not somebody who believes in the rule of law, and she was willing to compromise. So the same goes for Yunus, and it took a less time. I think if you look at the latest report of the all-party parliamentary group of the Commonwealth of the British Parliament, which had come out the report 2 days back, where they had noted down, including in our recording our submission, that there are 2,000 cases of attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh under Dr. Yunus. So Dr. Yunus's image as a liberal has been shattered. And if he continues to do this kind of silly things, I can tell you in the next 3 months' time, he will stand completely exposed. The problem for him is he doesn't want to give up power. And when people get power, I don't know what goes wrong with them, whether you are a Nobel laureate or a Democrat, they just go bonkers. And today he is making every attempt to remain in power, first by extending these reforms, which have no value because the next elected government can just throw them into the dustbin and saying that, we don't accept whatever reform has been recommended by some technocrats living in the US. We do not accept them, who is a US citizen, the chairman of the Constitutional Committee. So he is trying to make every effort to remain in power. The fear which I have is he will remain in power beyond 6 months. So they are going to form a political party next March, April, by the students. They are not themselves are organized. So students are being advised to a large extent by the Jamaat-e-Islami. So they're going to the polls, try to form a political party or come to power with the Jamaat-e-Islami and the students. Then India is going to have a serious problem because they don't care about what India thinks, on what cards we have. There is only one thing. He has to send Hasina to jail and he has to remain in power for the remaining term. He knows he can't stay for the remaining term. So he is there for at least 2.5 years by the time he holds elections. And by the time, I think we might
I think Suhas, that's a very interesting observation. But Ambassador, it's as you very rightly summed up, it's a trying and a testing time for the Indian diplomacy. Thank you both of you for joining me for this short conversation. But that's all on the On Point 2. But don't go away after a short break. On the other side, we will talk about escalating tension in Manipur after a Meitei man who has gone